Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. This is the #1 daily radio show for realtors looking for a no BS, authentic, real-time coaching experience. What's really working in today's market, how to generate more leads, make more money, and have more time for what you love in your life. And now your hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
Hey, we're back. We are talking about 22 listings in 2022. Now, we want to give you permission to expand that to 42, 62,
yes,
102,
more is
122, 2,200 listings. But really, the basis of how to take 22 listings in 2022, you can scale up what we're suggesting, obviously, and you can apply that to those of you who have much higher aspirations. And I'm going to also suggest those of you who would be sanguine taking 2 listings in 22, you change your goals to taking 22 listings in 2022. Because the reality of it is you can do it. We've had plenty of coaching clients over the years, new agents, for example, who have become listing agents right out of the gates. So the first thing that has to happen is you guys got to start with the idea that you can become listing agents immediately. You don't have to wait. You don't have to buy buyer leads. You don't have to even be part of a team. You don't have to work on your marketing, your branding. You don't have to work on your social networking. You don't have to work on anything other than doing real work. And doing real work is what we're going to be focused on today.
That's right. Now, if you're somebody who's used to taking 22 listings, you're on track to do that, and you've been at it for a while, that's great. This is still for you. Use our 12 ways to take 22 listings in 2022 to enhance what you're doing to make it easier for you, perhaps to add another lead source. So this is for all of you, but certainly I would say even for new agents, this number, 22 listings in 2022, should be achievable for virtually anyone, even if you just got licensed. Why do we say that? Because we have many coaching clients who have proven this. Okay, so game on. If you need to get updated, listen to yesterday's podcast because that was our introduction to this topic.
Oh, by the way, thank you for all of you who have been giving us 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher and over on YouTube. Thank you for all of you who have been subscribing. We're picking up hundreds of subscribers per week now on our YouTube channel. And if you want to listen to the podcast over on YouTube, really not sure why you'd want to, but it's there, sitting there waiting for you. And there's also a lot of other content that we've created over on our YouTube channel. But please do subscribe and please do give feedback on the video on the podcast. And again, if you're a normal podcast listener listening on iTunes, listening on Stitcher, or listening on Spotify, or really, billions of other podcast listening widgets, please do give us a 5-star review. It really does sincerely help us to know that we're on track with the content that we're providing for all you guys. We know it because we've been doing this forever, but sometimes you guys will give us a little direction change based on your feedback. And by the way, if you really want to have impact on what Julie and I are talking about on the show, feel free to text me directly at 512-758-0206. 512-758-0206. That is my real cell phone number, but please don't call it, just text, because if you call, I won't answer, but if you text, I will, I promise. So 512-758-0206 for any suggestions on podcast topics or anything else like that that would help us to serve all of you guys better. Oh, and one little last blurb here. Thank you for continuing to make this the #1 listened to daily podcast for real estate professionals in the United States. 93% of all of our downloads happen in the United States, but this podcast is listened to, by tens of thousands of agents every single week. And we sincerely appreciate, from the bottom of our hearts, truly, the honor of being your real estate coaches, or maybe your future real estate coaches if you've yet to sign up for one of our coaching programs.
Certainly your podcast hosts. So,
Exactly.
Game on. Things to consider before you accept the 2022 challenge. And again, all of this week's podcasts are about you guys taking a minimum of 22 listings that you will indeed sell. All right, so stuff to consider. Point A, you will have to actively contact both people you already know as well as those you don't know. People you know are past clients, people in your center of influence, and agent referrals. People you don't know is everybody else. So here's an introspective question. Are you willing to speak with both to earn your potential $400,000 plus? Again, yesterday we did the math on that using the nation's averages, average commissions, average sale price. So get caught up if you don't know where we came up with the over $400,000 projection for you. So yes, you'll have to talk to people you know and people you don't know. Now, for some of you, I always think it's interesting, Tim, that there are certain coaching clients, certain agents that are super comfortable talking with people they already know, their past clients, their sphere of influence. That's like their main bread and butter. And then there's others that like would not call them if you put a gun to their head. And I don't know how that all sorts out, but the agents that are easily taking this kind of listing inventory have dealt with the fact that you do have to do both.
Well, you know as well as I do
Generally.
why agents won't call their centers of influence and past clients. And actually, it's mostly a plague of a problem of the seasoned agent, because the seasoned agent convinces
true.
themselves they're too busy. And let's just be very clear, and then we're going to get on to the next point. If you have the first lead generation source that we prescribe for everyone to create is definitely their centers of influence and past clients. But not everyone's going to have either of those things. So you're going to have to create, when Julie and I got into real estate, we are in our early 20s. Our centers of influence were not going to do real estate transactions because they were basically still in college or graduate school. So, this was a long time ago, but I'm sure that's still true for a lot of you guys listening. And also for those of you who are more seasoned in the business, a lot of you have become complacent. And you're not actually calling your centers of influence and past clients. You're emailing them, you're dripping them, you're dropping stuff off. Nothing is going to be more effective. And by the way, cost effective and effective overall than picking up the phone and making a phone call. You can send videos, you can do likes on Facebook, you can do all that stuff. You can spend as much time on all that passive lead generation stuff as you choose to. But remember, nothing beats proactive lead generation. The first spoke you should always be adding is your center of influence and past client. And yes, in the Premier Coaching Program, we have, it's again, the first thing we teach you guys to do, a very robust, very firmly rooted in success system to help you build your centers of influence and past clients. And we give you a 12-month schedule, basically, of what you should be saying every single month, not what you should be mailing or tchotchke you should be dropping off, but what you should be saying to them when you call it. Actual scripts, telling you what to say, making it so that every single phone call is not going to feel like a sales call. That's the worst thing you want to do when you're talking to your centers of influence and past clients. Every single contact you make, phone call you make to your centers of influence and past clients, they're going to be warmly received because the scripts we're going to give you are going to make it so you feel comfortable saying it. So to Julie's point a second ago, why don't agents do it? Because they don't know what to say. They are worried about seeming desperate, or they're worried about sounding like they're just, some sort of they got sales commission breath, right? Mm-hmm. So, and I agree with you. Who's going to want to make phone calls when you're calling your centers of influence and past clients if you're coming off that way? That's the reason we wrote our scripts. So they're frankly very amiable and conversational.
None of this is hard, really.
None of it's hard.
But you do have to learn it and polish it and use it.
And it's the first thing you should be doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so point B, you should analyze where your business came from last year, assuming you're not super freshly licensed, but assuming you had business last year, and keep doing what has worked. So consider doing more of what worked. For example, if you had, say, 5 transactions from repeat clients, but you didn't have a system to speak with your database regularly, well, think about this. How many more repeat clients could you create this year by being more drilled down on that source of business, by using real scripts, by systematizing that, right? So, and you can apply that to virtually any source of business. Maybe you did really well with a particular builder last year, but they've run out of inventory for you. Well, it worked. So why are you stopping doing that? Maybe you need a new builder relationship.
So again, I know what agents are thinking, and I know what analytical agents are thinking, or procrastinating agents are thinking. Really, every agent's thinking, now I need to get a CRM. I need to figure out some complicated drip campaign. You really don't. Here, I'll give you your whole system right now. I laugh because this is the reason that no CRMs, and there's like 10 of them now that sell CRMs to agents for like $300 a month. This is the reason that none of them are sponsors of our podcast, because what I just told you guys, you really don't need a CRM that's more complicated than what I'm about to describe to you. Get Google Calendars, get Gmail, right? And then what you do is the people, and you break your centers of influence and past client down into 30, assuming you have enough for, say, 25 work days a week. And then every single month, right? And every single, that'd be terrible. That'd be a long ass week, right? And every single day on Monday of the first day of every month that's a work day, you're going to call Bob, Betty, Sally, and Steve. And those are the people you call, and then you automatically renew those calls for the first day of the following month, first day of the month after that, month after that, month after that. Super simple to set up. Inside the appointment inside the reminder, you can put notes from your last call. That's a CRM. And you can set up reminders if you want to, but you really don't need to.
That's all with Google tools, which are free.
Free. All of it's free, right? And Google, frankly, has so many apps now that you really don't need a CRM. And I know. Now, why do you need a CRM? It's because you're buying leads, and they're telling you you're supposed to be tracking all your analytics and whatever and all this other stuff. Why do you need a CRM? It's because they're telling you to do a whole bunch of passive lead generation. What we're telling you to do is actually run a profitable real estate business. And one of the first things you need to take a hard look at is where are you spending your time? Are you spending your time doing things passively or proactively? Do things proactively, and you're going to realize that you're going to be much more profitable.
That's right. So point number C, again, we're talking about things to consider before you accept the 22 challenge, where we're going to show you 12 effective lead sources to get you those 22 listings. But first, we're getting your head straight. So point number C, this may sound familiar. You must be willing to do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level. So if you keep doing what you're doing, you'll keep getting what you're getting. Now, for some of you, that's pretty good. So why not make it easier on yourself by following all of the 12 steps we're going to give you? Others of you, you're not doing what you don't want to do because you don't want to do it, and you're not doing it at the highest level.
Now, I realize that you have been referred to as the number one real estate coach in the nation, but I am going to call you out on something you just said.
What's that?
Okay, so you said that if you're happy doing what you're doing, just keep doing what you're doing. You said a variation of that.
Sort of. I said the point before that. Keep doing what's worked for you.
Right. But then after that, as far as the doing, you said something like that. Listeners, you got to have my back here. Julie's doing a little revisionist history. Well, it's because here's a thought for you, right? Sure. So if someone's starting the year and they're saying, I just want to do what I did last year, here's the way, like, my coaching brain just got triggered, right? And so if you're in at the same time, my Boy Scout brain, when I was a Boy Scout, got triggered, right? So I'm now at, it's called a jamboree or something, right? And I'm a little boy, and I'm trying to pull back a bow and an arrow, and the target is downfield. And if my goal is to hit the center and win, right, I have to aim. Where do I aim? And you know the answer, obviously. Do I aim below the target, at the target, or above the target? Now, a lot of it, truthfully, if you want to be super analytical, depends on the distance and the wind and the type of arrow.
Generally speaking.
Right, but generally speaking, you're going to have to aim above the target. So if your goal is just to do what you did last year and you're just focused on that, you won't do what you did last year.
Because you're aiming at the target, not above the target.
You'll hit below. And that's the way it happens. And so what happens is you get lulled into complacency. You stop upgrading your skills. You start getting sloppy on your pre-qualifying. You stop sending your pre-listing pack. You stop doing proactive lead generation. You start getting seduced by passive garbage. And the next thing you know,
you're behind.
You might actually sell more houses and generate more revenue, but your accountant's going to show up and, have you sign your tax returns, and you're going to be picking through your tax returns, and he might, if he's a good accountant, point out to you that year over year you made less profit. Right? And not because you were crafty with your write-offs. It's because you spent money trying to buy business to compensate for your complacency about doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do at the highest level.
So don't get behind in the first place. Shoot over the target. That way you're most likely to actually hit the target. And you know what? If you come out a little bit above, that's okay too. But you have to be willing to do what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it, and do it at the highest level. So point number D, you must ask for help when you need it. Don't waste time reinventing the wheel, sampling, or trying things out. Ask for help when you need it.
So I've been thinking a lot about that too. It's the time of year, and we have tens of thousands of people that listen to this podcast.
Yep.
We have tens of thousands of people that buy our book, Harris Rules. It's available everywhere, Barnes & Noble, Amazon, the rest of it, on Audible, called Harris Rules. So I ask myself, why is it that someone wouldn't just follow a path that's been proven, that tens of thousands of people have already tested in all market conditions and all price ranges and everything else, right? Sure. Why wouldn't they just follow the path that we created for them? And the answer is because they're not serious about their success.
That's right. You were reading my mind, because it requires committing to something, committing to your own success. It also requires some level of accountability to the plan.
Right.
And with coaching, yes, you absolutely have a coach, a co-pilot. You have daily semi-private calls where you can ask questions, where people do go all the time to ask questions, celebrate their victories.
That's what our premier
But it's a commitment. It is.
That's what our premier coaching program is. It's an A to Z solution. You have a daily semi-private coaching call with your coach. You can ask questions. You can be around a group of like-minded people. Your environment, including your people environment, matters more than you could possibly know. So if you're listening right now and you're going to listen to 10 other podcasts and you're going to watch 10 other YouTube videos and you're going to then go to 15 different Facebook groups and you're going to try to weave together your own 2022 plan for what you're going to do in your real estate business, I ask you a simple question, and I want you to be honest with your answer. Why the hell are you wasting time trying to recreate something that's already right in front of you? It's almost like you decided to one day wake up and say, damn it, I'm going to build a better wheel.
I know, but why are you doing that when I thought that your goal was to be profitable and to move your business forward to meet or exceed your goals?
They're not
right?
serious about their business.
Because they're not serious,
That's
and maybe that's not your time right now. But if it is, and I can tell you, Tim, from going to those Facebook Live daily sessions, the ones that come, you don't have to go every day, but the ones that are fairly regular are always our clients that are on track or ahead. Always.
Of course.
I mean, we can name them because, we know who you guys are.
And if you guys are wanting to basically, do a bunch of this and a little of that and a bunch of the other thing, you're not good coaching clients for us because you won't succeed. Julie and I would rather have all the 33 people that work with us would rather have you not sign up for our coaching if you're not serious about your success, because we have no coaching program for people who aren't serious about their success.
Well, what we say internally is this is not Tim and Julie's halfway house for wayward realtors.
That's true.
We're not here to, remotivate you every single day. We're here to take you to the next level. So if you're not serious, that's okay. Maybe it's not your time.
Well, I mean, look, here's the reason why. I ask myself again. There's a failure rate of almost 100% after 5 years in this business.
Sadly, yes.
Was it like 97? I always screw it up when I try to say.
It's 87% of agents in 5 years will be brand new, or are not licensed today. Anyway.
Right, 87%. There you go. 87% of all active licensees in 60 months don't have real estate licenses.
Which means some of them haven't even thought to get licensed.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is staggering.
Yeah, and that's what happens is the industry has that much churn. I think the peak number of agents quit between like 12 months and 24 months.
Yes.
And then as soon as their NARDUs or, all the rest
renewing.
of it. And then most of them will wash out. Now, it breaks my heart, truthfully. Mm-hmm. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. My dad he was always an entrepreneur. We were certainly a lot of feast and famine when I was growing up. And I have to ask myself, what is it that when you guys are essentially starting your businesses, how can Julie and I say things that are going to help you set aside your ego and your inner skeptic and just follow the path that we've already created for you? What do I have to do to convince you of that? And I have now, at my ripe old age of 51, have come to accept that some of you just aren't ready. And you're just not ready to actually follow through and become the best version of yourself, helping people as a real estate sales professional, enjoying all the benefits that come from it after that. I just have gotten to the point where because we've been able to help so many people that, frankly, we know what we say and what we do works. And if you're not going to work what we say and you're not going to follow what we ask you to do, then chances are you're not going to succeed long-term in this business. That sounds like a bold statement, but I'm just leaning into the numbers. The averages are basically reinforcing what I'm saying. So I strongly suggest all of you, whether you've been in the business for a long time, like I got a message the other day. Somebody said, it was one of these emails about, I forwarded it to you, right? Mm-hmm. It was a listener who said, I've been stuck at this particular level of production for a long period of time. I was with another coaching program and it was like 40 units and I've been making a lot of money. I believe this was a Canadian. And what do I have to do to move forward? And it's basically what's happened is you're a product of your environment. You guys have all heard that before, but you've not scaled up that idea. So your environment is your physical environment. But your environment is also the people you hang out with, real and virtually. So Julie and I were flipping through Facebook over the holidays, and we were wishing all of our, Julie and I are, to combined age of well over 100 years old, and so we've known a lot of people in our lifetime. Julie loves it when I say that. You guys should see how hard her eyes roll when I say that.
Just stop it. That's Zoe's new thing. Just stop it.
But what I'm trying to say is a lot of those people are living essentially exactly the same iterations of themselves that they did 25 or 30 years ago. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging. But the reason is that they have never gotten out of their physical environment. They've not surrounded themselves with other things that would be conducive to them changing their environment. And that would be the thinking, the books they surround themselves with, the people they surround themselves with. One of the most critical things that you have to do is you have to force yourself out of your environment. Otherwise, complacency is going to creep in all the time. And that's the essence of what that agent who was asking us, how can we help them, how to get unstuck. It's because the environment in which they found themselves in with this other coaching company, and it's a great coaching company, don't get me wrong, but in that particular environment, they've leveled off at around 40 units per year and they want to go to the next level.
Yeah, and it's usually worse for agents like that because probably they're at the top of their office, right? I mean, they're getting awards, they're, doing 40-ish deals per year is not so bad with a normal average sale price even. But that's a typical call that we get, or an email that we got that you refer to as getting unstuck from whatever level that is. And so a good coach is going to get in there and look at what you're doing, what's working, what's not working. Are you working, and what do you need to break up with that's not doing well? What do you need to upgrade? What are your skill level? And you know what the breakthrough is often, since we're talking about listings here? I find that agents like that, and they're usually somewhere like $5 to $8 million producers, maybe 12 million now as average sale prices go up, but then they've been doing it repetitively, is that they do know how to list, but most of who they list are people they already know.
Centers of influence,
they're repeat past clients, center of influence.
Not high level of sales skill needed.
Right. And that's gotten them a decent living, right? But to get to the next level, an agent like that, the coach gets in there and says, well, what about this? And are you implementing that? And how is that going? And, sometimes it's that they're going on a lot of appointments but not taking them all because they don't know how to pre-qualify or whatever it is. That's why people at many levels sign up for coaching, is so that they have a co-pilot that's I call coaches the interested third party, right? They're interested in your success, but they can kind of hover over your business and look in with a magnifying glass, where you, the agent, are in it every day.
But truthfully, not all coaches are the same.
No, that's true.
I mean, everyone and their brother calls themselves a real estate coach.
Oh, I was talking about our coaches.
Right. Well, again, we're meandering, but let me give you guys 3 filters. Just write these down really quick, or just remember them. When you're hiring anybody to, advise you, whether it's a financial advisor, whether it's a doctor, whether it's anybody, right, a real estate coach, you've got to set the bar incredibly high before you choose to do business with them, because the ramifications of taking essentially bad advice or having advice given to you that misdirects you, you can be off by just 1 or 2 degrees, and over time, you're going to be off by miles. You're going to be off by planets as far as where you otherwise would have been. I want you guys to think about that. Go back to that arrow trying to shoot towards that target. If all of a sudden a strong breeze comes by and that arrow obviously is blown off target, let's say that arrow has an endless amount of energy and it still stays off target. That thing could, end up in the middle of of Mars. You guys get the point? Mm-hmm. And that's what happens when you run across bad advice. And again, bad advice might be, Julie, you do not have to proactively generate your own leads. You can buy all your business. And you're like, cool, I don't want to have to learn how to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it at the highest level.
Here's my credit card number.
And you're going to start buying leads. And then all of a sudden, like we discussed yesterday, buying leads becomes oversaturated, too expensive, not viable. You realized you've broken one of the Harris rules, which is you've tried to build your mansion on land you do not own. In other words, you had voluntarily given over the control of your lead flow to a third party who then could go out of business, who could change the formula, the algorithm, could just decide not to sell you business anymore, and then you're right back where you started because you took the advice that you should be buying leads. You guys get it? And that also, you could apply that to how you're choosing to spend your time. I came across somebody who was saying, here's my daily schedule. Every in the morning, I'm going to create 2 Facebook videos, and I'm going to do this, I'm going to do the other thing, I'm going to do the other thing. All this passive stuff with no real thought given to how is that actually going to translate to a real estate transaction? The belief was, the lie that they got suckered into believing was, if you create enough content, the business will come. Well, why don't you, instead of wasting time doing all of that, just go to the sellers that have their hands in the air right now and say, yes, I want to sell my house. That's what this week's podcast is about. That's what our coaching program is about. Stop wasting time trying to find people to do business with you. Go to the people who have their hands in the air right now who want to do business with you. So the 3 filters when you're choosing a real estate coach: number 1, has the person sold real estate before? Have they had a real estate license? If they have not had a real estate license, that is not a real estate coach. Do not waste your time. Number 2, have they sold at least 100 houses in 1 year? If they have sold at least 100 houses in 1 year, then okay, proceed. Now you're kind of meandering into a unicorn field, and you may have found someone special. But the third filter, have they sold at least 100 houses per year for at least 5 years in a row? If they have not, you can do better. Yes. Because if they have not done that, You're now settling for somebody who may have listed a subdivision. Their uncle listed a whole bunch of lots with them.
A building or something like
exactly.
that.
So you now are believing, okay, they had a license, they sold over 100 houses in a year. That must be a good real estate coach. No, it will not. So did they sell 100 houses in a year? Yes. Move to question number 3. Did they sell at least 100 houses per year for 5 years in a row? If they said yes to that, you're down to single digits, the number of people that are in the real estate business that are real estate coaches.
Work for us.
And they probably work for us. Now, the 4th question is going to knock almost all of them out. Have they performed at least 10,000 paid one-on-one coaching calls? And in the country, there's probably only 4 or 5 of us that have. And this is not your YouTube coaches.
No.
Those people are just training. They're not coaching. You've got to demand that who you're going to take your advice from is going to be the person that's going to create the environment for you to flourish, to really go to the next level. Otherwise, you're just going to max out on whatever their max is, which is, chances are, especially if they never sold real estate before, they're just going to tell you to do a bunch of social networking.
Right, or if they haven't done it for at least 5 years in a row. 5 years thing is really important because that probably means that they have had to sell in different types of markets.
Yep.
Different types of properties and different types of people. And also, here's something that people don't realize is that coaches have to have versatility themselves. Not all coaching clients are the same.
That's the reason I said 10,000 calls.
That's exactly my point, right? So let's say I'm talking to Bob today, and Bob's profile is totally different than my next call with Betty. Well, I can't coach them the same way. Yes, some of the same points are true. They both need pre-listing packages. They both have to have scripts. But maybe they're going after completely different clientele. And that's why the 10,000 calls matters, is because you can't just have, I've got 3 different coaching avenues I can take you through, and either it's going to work or it's not. And because what happens is if coaches haven't been through that many calls with that much versatility, sometimes the coaching client can be convinced, well, it's them. Right?
The agent will think they're the problem, not realizing they hired a fake real estate coach.
Yeah.
And the paid real estate coaching thing is critical because otherwise, and you guys will laugh when you catch people doing this, is they're going to say, well, I did a live YouTube and there was 5,000 people on that. So yes, I've trained 5,000 people. Or
no.
I was on somebody else's stage and I talked about some, whatever it was. Not the same. 10,000 one-on-one coaching calls. You, the coach, on a call,
paid.
Just you and exactly paid. And if they haven't done it, they're not real estate coaches in the truest sense. What was it? Jefferson that said, basically, if you haven't done anything at least 10,000 times, do not call yourself an expert.
Edison, but yes.
Edison, thank you.
Yep.
I knew you knew.
That's okay.
No. All right, next point.
Yeah, all right. Well, so we may want to break because we're right about there. We're talking about how to actually list your 22 homes in 2022. So if
you want to give them some homework?
Do that? Yes, sure.
Okay, no, we'll save that for tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, so here's your homework. If you've not completed your 2022 real estate treasure map, your business plan for 2022, very simple. Just text the word Harris, our last name, Harris, to 47372. Text the word Harris to 47372. It takes about 3 seconds. And when you do, not only are we going to give you the real estate treasure map, yes, it is for sale, but don't buy it. We'll give it to you when you text Harris to 47372. But you're also entitled to a free coaching call with one of our new member coaches. So when you text Harris to 47372, you're going to then be texted back and you have to say yes. You have to confirm that you do want to receive the free information. When you do, then you get text back a link. And then with that link, you can download the treasure map, which is a fill-in-the-blank business plan. I think it's 68 pages. And then now not all 68 are fill-in-the-blank. Only like the last maybe 20% are.
No.
Right. There are other pages that are in there to help you understand the process of goal setting and all the other things that we take you through. This is the first thing we're going to have all of you do, by the way. The treasure map is job number 1 when all of you join Premier Coaching. When you join as a coaching client at any of our differing levels, job number 1 is get your real estate treasure map done. It's really critical. So text the word Harris to 47372. And remember, message and data rates may apply. So if this is the first podcast you've listened to of Julie and I, thank you. Hopefully you like what you got. That's right. It didn't cost you anything. Nope. So, but do go back and listen to past podcasts. We have over 2,000. Actually, we have well over 2,000 podcasts. But you can go back, and this The purpose of our podcast, obviously, is to create a new generation of agents that are not beholden to buying leads, who have control of their futures, who are not one of the washouts in 60 months. We, again, have been doing this long enough, and it's to know that what we are going to prescribe to all of you works in all market conditions, in all inflationary times, during market crashes, during market booms. It works with big teams. It works with individual agents. It works with small brokerages, big brokerages, everything in all places, in all situations. What our system does is makes it so you have the shortest path up the mountain. You have the shortest path to success. Now, it's up to you to do something with this information. Remember, the first thing to do is text the word Harris to 47372. And remember, message and data rates apply. We're going to pick up where we left off yesterday. You guys have a fantastic day, and we'll talk with you on the show tomorrow.
This podcast is a part of the C-Suite Radio Network. For more top business podcasts, visit c-suiteradio.com.